Well, good afternoon. It is none other than March 28th, 2023. And this is a long-awaited meeting of the Minnesota Geospatial Advisory Council's Emergency Preparedness Committee. Due to some personal circumstances last year, things kind of got derailed. We're trying to get things back on track. The roll call, meeting housekeeping, the roll call is being automatically recorded. I found this amazing feature in Zoom that I did not know existed. And so the attendance roster is available. We have a pretty large crowd today, so we're going to dispense with the meet and the greet. And we'll have a little bit of a 5-minute break as we transition out of the CAP presentation into kind of doing the lightning round stuff. So if you folks want to chat then or after we roll up the sidewalks at 4 o'clock and introduce yourself, that'd be great, because as you well know, the last place you want to meet somebody is at a disaster. The recording is already on, and with that being the chair of this esteemed group, I'm going to call a meeting to order. And with that taken place, I need from the floor a motion to approve the agenda as you see it on the screen. 2 to 2:30, we're going to do the admin part of the meeting. From 2:30 to 3, Tom Fitzhenry, Director of Emergency Services, Minnesota Wing Civil Air Patrol, as always presents very well, and he'll get us up to speed of what's out there and how to request services if you need it. 5-minute break, as I indicated. And then if you looked at my prior agenda, you figured out not only did I know how to spell people's names, I couldn't do math very well. So anyway, I reissued version 3's out there. But anyway, from 3:06 to 4 p.m., we'll do these lightning briefs about a variety of stuff that might be worthwhile to you for emergency response, flooding, whatever. And by all means, we are framing that as a let's learn from each other presentation. And the members of the EPC are going to throw some stuff out there to maybe help get the gray matter working. And then, as I said, we'll leave the thing turned on to 5 o'clock till everybody decides they want to go away or whatever. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Are there any changes, deletions, corrections?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Who's second? Go ahead. I heard a second. Thank you very much, whoever you are. Appreciate it.
I did.
And if there's
Stacy,
Stacy, thank you. If there's anyone opposed, state it now or forever hold your peace. Going once, going twice, gone. Okay, our last minutes from December of 2001 are up on the EPC YouTube channel in the form of a recording of the event. And if you would like to go take a look at that, you have the full opportunity. But I needed another motion to approve the minutes as they're offered in that form. Do I hear one?
so moved.
Do I have a second?
Tom Fitzhenry will second.
Thank you very much. And if you're opposed, please make it known at this point. 1, 2, 3, gone. All right, that moves us on to updates, issues, and good efforts. I thought we'd do a little South African humor. Here you go. If you have a gun, you can rob a bank. But if you have a bank, you can rob everyone. Okay, anyway, here we go. Past events. I know you haven't seen us around very often, but things have been very, very busy in the background. Right down the list there is, you can take a look to see the different elements of this group. The meetings that have been going on and presentations that have been taking place. I'd like to highlight 2 of them. Both of them have to do with the UUMPT, which is the Underground Utilities Mapping Project Team. That effort is underway since August of 2020, and it is well known around the globe because it is a groundbreaking effort sponsored by this organization And the effect of it is 11 countries in Europe asked them to present on what's going on there. I don't have time to drive down into it, but it's about the collaborative ability to share utility data in one picture for the 811 community's ability to dig and not hit stuff. And then that was followed by, on the very same day, another part of that project team was down at the Global Excavation Safety Conference presenting. That moves us on. I got to click the button to go the other direction. Upcoming meetings and events. Once again, the UUMPT will be down at the Common Ground Alliance 811 conference presentation, Orlando, Florida, on the 18th. And then you can see a listing there of other meetings that will be going on in the next 3 months or so. I found this amazing technology. It's called a calendar. So rather than me blabbing during one of these meetings and throwing up dates and all that stuff and everybody going, their eyes are glazing over, the calendar list that's up there is now online. So you can float over it and find out who I need to contact to find about this meeting, when it's taking place, and the rest of it. And that's on our EPC website, as we indicated right there. So that's mgacepc.org, and you'll find a little link right there for the calendar if you're interested in popping in on any of these meetings. Not that there's any great need out there to attend more online meetings, but there's your opportunity to do so. Okay, people, here's what we got for an update on that. For those of you that know Allison, she's been around the GIS community for Minnesota GIS community for quite a while. She's been intimately involved in a lot of stuff the EPC's done, and she was appointed the GIO of the state back in the middle of the year. So an exciting development for all of us that know her. She is just an absolutely outstanding individual, and it's great to have her in that leadership position. Let's move on to some issues. Once again, from South Africa, they're telling us don't do something permanently stupid because you're temporarily upset. Okay. EPCIT, probably appropriately framed on that last comment, is that yours truly had built on the backside on it using a Google site, effectively the team management website, our capability for respective teams to have dedicated folders and be able to, have a if you will, a concentrated hub of all the materials that have been developed over the last 2 decades by our forerunners and this current committee and the rest of it. Well, I went in to use the site on March 13th and it was deleted by Google. So anyway, luckily there's a function there that allows you to download static copy of each of the web pages. And so we're in the process. If you will, was the cattle prod to move forward on getting much of our IT herded in the direction where we're going to end up on a permanent site hosted by MinGeo, but our transitory process before we get to this committee hub that will be set up on an ArcGIS implementation. We're transitioning through a WordPress site. And the idea being there is we have to build the capability so folks have got access to information before we finally get into our new permanent home. So that's in general the plan. In case you go looking for our old .net site where a project material was, we're trying to transition things as quickly as possible. And, as it's indicated up here, some of you are already familiar with it. Many of the outreach functions can be found up on the current WordPress website over in the right hand corner of the website. and that's state and national resources available 24/7. We're going to add information there as we go along. And the idea again is build out the content we need there because it's easy for a dummy like me to do. And then I may tap somebody real smart like Stacy to maybe transition it all into the ArcGIS site. So that's kind of the gist of what we're up to there. All right, some good efforts. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Yep, that's a good way to think about things. Okay, I am proud to say that our EPC YouTube channel has now come across 5,000 video views. There's 52 videos up on the site. They're all something that has been the EPC has been involved in. Primarily the heavy load there is the underground utility mapping project team stuff. They've been cranking out stuff left and right. And but it's still indicative of the fact that we've been able to leverage something like YouTube to deliver the message and ideas about the use of geospatial technology to save lives, reduce suffering, make the state a better place to live through this kind of technology. And by it being set up that way, we've had an opportunity to reach 5,000 people that we wouldn't have otherwise had an opportunity to connect with, that 15 or 20 of us sitting around in a conference room every quarter, we would have never had that kind of reach. So we consider that a real strong success. And I know this is hard to believe, and you can go prove it to yourself. EPC saves a life in Georgia. And for those of you that were with this group back in the 2010, 2011 timeframe, you're aware of the fact that out of this group, the idea came forward about what would be an effective way to location mark positions on trails or in parks, things of that nature. And Cobb County, Georgia, which is a Atlanta metro county, really took this plan to heart. They've got up something like 4,000 or 5,000 of these markers because they've got an extensive trail system that goes into the Kennesaw Battlefield National Park. And they've been able to substantially reduce their response times. And this crew in this 11-minute YouTube video talks about how important this whole approach was to being able to quickly find this guy that was having a heart attack in an area that they otherwise really would have had a difficulty finding him. So it's a real significant victory. And you can go, just if you type in Cobb ELM Rescue YouTube, you can come up and watch the video if you want the full length. It's down there. And here's, for instance, an article from the Atlanta Journal Constitution. I think that's the name, but they'll roll their eyes down there in Georgia on me. But anyway, you get the idea. Okay, I'll open the floor. What did I forget? Other victories or defeats out there? Going once, going twice, gone. As I said, we're trying to move through this with some degree of being expedited so that we make sure there's plenty of time for Tom and also our discussion sessions here at the end. That brings up project team reports. Your leadership team, Randy's the vice chair. And then we've got, besides myself, Brian Huberty, Corey Richter, and Stacy Stark. So Stacy, I think you're getting thrown under the bus first. You want to fill folks in? I got a slide for you, and you can touch base on what you've been up to.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So I am leading a work group called the Critical Infrastructure Assessment Data Work Group, and we have members from a lot of different sectors across Minnesota, and we just sort of talk about the best available spatial data sets for critical infrastructure very broadly defined across Minnesota. So for example, we have some members from Department of Commerce, and we had a lot of discussion about energy and utilities this year. And one of the primary goals when we established this group was to see how we could not only have these best available data sets reflected in Minnesota, but also have them accessible to anyone nationally that's looking. So that relationship is ongoing. That's a really, that's been a hard nut to crack, to figure out how to get our data recognized and consumed by national data sets. But locally here, we did have this, we did last year produce this critical infrastructure GIS data website, which is just on the MinGeo website. So it's just a place you can navigate to through their thematic web pages. And there you will see what our work group had vetted as the best available infrastructure data for Minnesota. So these are all publicly available. They're all point data sets. But for instance, if you're looking for fire, police, you're looking for schools, the data sets are linked there that you would find the most current and up to date. Some of these data 2 years ago started as high-field data sets that we then had to update with local data. And so that's what we're doing. We are keeping those up so that they do reflect what's currently on the ground. And without going on too much about that, if you have questions about that, just let me know and I'd be happy to share more. And then coming up next year, we're trying to make sure that we can maintain a workflow to keep these data up to date and continue to promote and share them. So that's something we're working on with the new hub site. We'll have some more information about that. And then also through my day job, University of Minnesota Duluth, we're under contract to facilitate the state hazard mitigation plan. And with that, there is a data section in which we need to discuss the state of geospatial data in Minnesota. So we'll have an opportunity to kind of share what the status is, and this work group in particular, just a status review and what some of the gaps and opportunities are there for that. So that's our work group. Let me know if you have any questions or want to join us.
Thank you very much, Stacy. Next up is the underground utilities mapping. I, as the vice chair, the admin mule, if you will, I will update on behalf of Barb Cedarberg, who is the COO of Gopher State One Call. And the information that I think she would like to see passed along is there's been some big happenings lately. The Common Ground Alliance, which is the guy that you see, you see him all the time, America's Dirty Jobs, Mike Rowe, is that? Is often seen sponsoring. They just published a whole case study, 6 or 7 pages long, on the efforts of this particular project team. They are literally moving ahead on some nationally and global breaking technology on how to better understand where underground infrastructure is, and ultimately that will pay huge dividends as we move into augmented reality and other systems that will need that kind of precision. There's been $125,000 grant awarded, basically based off an MOU between Gopher State One Call Concepts, which is the service provider to One Call Concepts, and then Share Geo for the delivery of a production version of a proof of concept for this software that we were talking about. So those would be the updates from the underground utilities world. Corey, are you with us? I know she had another meeting that bumped up against us. So I'll just go ahead and update for Corey also. In case you're wondering, on the page that says quick references or resources, you'll find at the very bottom the listing of the courses that FEMA has available, which I believe would be of benefit to work your way through. They're online through the Emergency Management Institute, and they give you an opportunity to see how FEMA is thinking about how these particular roles should fit into a disaster or emergency response. And they give you other background information. So again, if you're looking to do some self-instruction, here's some online courses, and you get points towards your emergency management certificate. I think many would really point out that at a minimum, as anyone who works in a capacity at for a county or a city who might have the potential of providing geospatial information to your emergency response effort, I would tell you as a minimum, these first two are probably a couple of courses that you should have under your belt. Okay, moving on from that. Outreach is vacant, and I just popped the photo in here. We've got no one leading it right now, but here's a flashback to the old days. Guys like Randy can remember when we would have booths at the Minnesota GILIS or the governor's annual conference, which I don't know, has that thing gone away completely? Don't know. But anyway, just a reminder, and if there's somebody out there that would like to get involved in providing an outreach function for the group, that'd be fabulous. Give me a holler, let me know. And I think that takes you down to Brian. Are you ready to go? I got a slide for you. Got kind of the same thing there that I showed for none other than Corey.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And actually, this is a changing world when it comes to imagery. I was just actually on a call, actually it's a conference going on right now in DC about using artificial intelligence related to imagery. And there was actually talk about disasters and how they're trying to automate the process. So in time, we're probably going to see more of that in the near future. But in general, what this group or this work is designed for is, as I bugged Steve many decade or two ago, is GIS tells you what was. The remote sensing part is what is happening or what just happened. And how do we get access to those resources in a timely manner to respond to it, whether it's a fire, floods, and now nuclear emergencies near Monticello, or say incidents. So we got to get something that can see the dead fish that are in the Mississippi River. That just hit the news today. I don't think it's going to be declared an emergency except for the fishermen out there. So anyways, we'll be talking a little bit more about this later this afternoon. But again, thanks for Steve for reformatting this page on how to request assistance, because this is where it gets to be a little bit challenging, but we do have resources in the area, and we'll be going through that in about an hour or so.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, I think that takes it down to me. So really what I'd like to just quickly point out here with MinSave is that, or I should say with this group, has been working on a project now for a better part of basically since COVID hit, to try to come down to creating a platform that can be used pretty much by anyone to try to gain just basic situational understanding of what is taking place within or at, for instance, like with flooding or things of that nature. And we'll get in, as Brian indicated, we're going to get into this a little bit more depth here in a minute or two. But the high point that I want us to carry forward is this site was originally framed up for COVID, and now we've transitioned it Last update, March 26, 2023. We've transitioned it from being COVID focused to having a broader focus for potential use for disasters or whatever. But again, we'll be chatting about this here in just a bit. And that takes us now to Randy Knipple. Randy, you got it.
Sure. I chair a group that's responsible for promoting the U.S. National Grid. One of the things that's come out of that, beyond just doing this in Minnesota, is engaging people across the country. And we've created this thing called the U.S. National Grid Institute that really grew out of something called the U.S. National Grid Implementation Working Group, which has representatives from across the country. And really creating this new U.S. National Grid Institute as a 501c3 nonprofit. So it works as an independent organization. Steve's done a lot of work to get that set up. It sits under the umbrella of Shared Geo, which was very convenient. But it's just important to understand that we are engaging people across the country now on this topic. And there are a number of different jurisdictions across the country that are implementing it. A lot of those are getting engaged in this effort. And it's really nice to kind of see this take hold at a national level with people from across the country. One thing that grew out of this is an updated U.S. National Grid Wikipedia page. The one that was out there was pretty outdated and sparse in content, but it's very good now. And I encourage you to go out, check that out in Wikipedia. There are a lot of good resources that are linked from there, including a number of things that we've put together here in Minnesota from the Emergency Preparedness Committee. So anything else I should say, Steve?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Randy.
But I am happy. Anybody has questions about U.S. National Grid, feel free to contact me. Be happy to have a conversation and provide assistance.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, we're down to old business and new business. Is there any old business from the floor? Drum roll, please. Going once, going twice, gone. Is there any new business from the floor? Going once, going twice, gone. And that leaves us with comments, announcements, other business, and adjourn. So let's see what we got here. Next EPC meeting. If you want to show up when we're going to do this again, we're going to try to get ourselves healthy again, back on a quarterly basis. Date is June 15th, 2023. I'm pretty certain we're going to end up online like we are right now, 2:00 Central. And we'll be fishing around for a topic. So if anybody in the crowd's got something out there that they think is timely and that we should be blabbing about or sharing knowledge about, by all means, shoot me an email at chair@mgacepc.org. Okay, I think that takes us down to, what do you think? Do we need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a
Randy.
second? Come on, Stacy.
Sure, second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anyone opposed? Hearing no one opposed, the gavel is coming down and we're running 2 minutes late, Tom. I'm sorry. We started 2 minutes late.
We can do it.
Okay. All right. All right. That concludes the admin meeting.